This is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
It is here in El Paso that the return to Mexico policy from the previous administration was implemented. We have seen the disaster that resulted from that.
The Remain in Mexico policy requires migrants to wait in Mexico until their cases can be heard. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris obviously don't like this policy, but they have to follow it because the court said so. They'll no doubt try to rescind the policy some other way, but given the fact that the border is a disaster and there doesn't seem to be any plan for fixing it, Republicans are advocating the policy is an effective deterrent to prevent the huge caravans coming to the southern border. In addition, Border Patrol documents reveal at least 160,000 migrants have been released into the United States since March, mostly unsupervised, and tens of thousands more Haitian migrants are expected to reach the southern border in a matter of weeks. The leaders of this new caravan claim they're ready for war with Border Patrol agents. So is the White House ready? Is there actually a plan? Joining me now is Republican leader of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman from the great state of Texas, Mike McCaul. Congressman, how are you? Thank you for joining us. What's the latest and what's happening at the border, and what do you expect to happen?
Well, Trey, first of all, it's great to see you, and congratulations on your new show. We miss you in the House, but you made a good career decision, I think. It is out of control, and it's a self-inflicted wound. You know, on day one, President Biden rescinded the Remain in Mexico policy, the asylum agreements, migrant protection protocol, which was working. It required them to stay in Mexico pending their asylum claims. You're a federal prosecutor, I was too. You know, 85% of these claims don't get through, and, you know, they're rejected by the courts. So this is an effective policy. Now the Supreme Court has said, hey, you got to reinstate this until you can justify rescinding it. As I understand right now, they're putting the tents back up to process, but then at the same time, you know, the mixed messaging that they're working on a memo to respond to the Supreme Court that they are going to terminate the migrant protection protocol, which I think, as you look at this caravan you're talking about, tens of thousands of people coming up, people without borders, threatening the Border Patrol. They're going to go to war with them. You know, I've lived in this state all my life, and I was a federal prosecutor down here, chaired Homeland Security, as you know, and this is the worst I've ever seen it. And it's going to get worse, Trey, not better, before it ends.
Well, Chairman, you're right. You have been on this issue longer than most people have, so you're the perfect person for me to ask this question. I mean, did this catch them by surprise? Because if you listen to their campaign rhetoric when they were both running for president, it strikes me as just a natural and probable consequence of what both of them were talking about when they ran to be the leader of the free world.
Well, I think it's been the plan all along, but going back to the campaign, and that's when you start to see the traffickers realize that the law was going to change, and that's when they started moving these kids up through the border and others, and you know, it became a real problem. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't think they realized rescinding this on day one, just because it had Trump's name on it, what the consequences were really going to be. And the consequences have been devastating. We've had over 1 million people enter this country illegally. We'll probably have another 1 million before the end of this year. And Trey, as you know, what are we going to do with them? You know, they're going to end up in the biggest human trafficking, sex trafficking event in probably the history of the United States. We've apprehended more fentanyl just this year alone to kill the entire United States population 7 times over. So this is it's a narcotic threat, a human trafficking threat, and it's all self-inflicted because it had Trump's name on it. It's really a disgrace.
Chairman, I want to get you to put on your other hat. You were a federal prosecutor. There was an officer killed in Houston, I believe it was, the most recent law enforcement officer killed. I want to get you to react to this, if nothing else, a rhetorical war, a rhetoric war on law enforcement. And then some of your colleagues want to not only do away with cops, but also do away with the Border Patrol and do away with the ICE. And what message does that send to cops?
Oh, it's just like the message it sends to Border Patrol, they've been demoralized. Police officers, they're having a hard time recruiting, as you know, because they're afraid they're going to get sued or indicted. In my hometown of Austin, Texas, they defunded $150 million, and now the crime rate is skyrocketing. And we have a district attorney that's more interested in prosecuting cops than criminals. And then we had this event in Harris County, my state. These constables shot, one killed. This is it's happening all across the country. I got to tell you, Trey, this is not resonating politically with the American people back home. They want law and order. And what's interesting also is I find in the border counties in my state, the Hispanic population, they want security. They want law and order. They have a conservative value system. And they're starting to take a hard look at the Republican Party right now because they don't like what they're seeing with Kamala Harris and the socialist movement. But more importantly, this public safety danger, again, another self-inflicted wound. Lastly, you were in the Congress. I'll never forget this. When I authorized Department of Homeland Security, I authorized ICE into law, and it passed under suspension, which means just about every Democrat voted for it, including Nancy Pelosi.
Wow, how times have changed. Chairman, thank you for joining us on a Sunday night, especially with the Cowboys playing. I look forward to talking to you soon.